Recently, I did an episode on how AI was being applied to cuneiform tablets to unlock previously unknown knowledge that was stored away due to a lack of translators being able to understand not only the different eras in which the cuneiform was written, but also the contents of the tablets so we could quickly understand if it was ancient Mesopotamian, Assyrian, or otherwise. And I had an idea that isn't too far-fetched that can use AI in a way that was previously thought impossible. And what I mean by that is right now we have a lot of data that we could gather and we could model. So much so that if we were to examine, say, Africa, and we were to understand how time has changed the northern tips of Africa, where we could actually see ancient seabeds and we could actually understand how ice and other stuff allowed for the movement of the tectonic plate over thousands and thousands of years. We could start to gather all that data to give not only an idea of what the climate would be like, but we could also see in the desert remains of ancient rivers, and that all could be mapped out onto a model. But this is where AI gets its interesting take because of its ability to understand vast amounts of different data together in context. You could potentially model the ancient Sahara African area and ask it to go back in time using all the available data, and then using its predictive and generative capabilities, ask it to surmise where civilization might have spread. And you could end up with some incredible historical discoveries based off of the data it's able to put together. Because as it stands right now, whenever we discover, say, ancient cities in Egypt, it's because people were able to, using their own insight with ancient texts, be able to discover things that were written before. But if we were to take all the data and knowledge that we have and combine it into one giant AI that's able to quickly tabulate and speculate where potential human settlements might be, we could end up with a very interesting short list of very, very useful places that humanity may have been before. And we could go there and discover, oh, it may be down X number of layers based off of human settlement layering. And then we go dig and we discover, oh, what do you know? We came across these ancient cities that didn't exist before. Oh, we came across, where the eye of the Sahara is. Oh, while digging in there, we found out down underneath this layer that there's the remains of a water-based city there. It's really interesting what you can do with AI once it has access to all this ancient knowledge in a very well put together model of the world. And I say this not out of ignorance or out of speculation, but out of an insight that we have systems like Claude, where we asked it using its multimodal capabilities to examine hundreds, if not thousands, of documents all about training and all this detail. And then we asked it for a specific line about pizza, and it found it. And then it said, hey, I sense I'm being tested, when it found that line about pizza that was out of place. And you think about that. Well, if it's able to find something that's out of place, out of all the information that it had access to, this is where I got excited. Because if you think about that, if it could take in all this data about how the climate was thousands of years ago, 12,000, 13,000 years ago, if it could take in ancient riverbed data, if it could look at the ocean floor and see how silt lays down, because I think they're called the rivers of the ocean. They look like rivers in the ocean. In reality, that's a silt deposit from where ancient waters were coming from the land into the sea. If it could take all that data and apply it and then find out where things don't line up, where they don't make sense, you could start painting a very, very interesting picture, stating like, hey, why was this river diverted from its natural course to this seemingly obscure area? What was going on for that time period? Is there something there that we could then find? that relates to ancient humanity. And I think that's very interesting in that where the gaps of our information are when you have enough data can start painting more of a picture than what we already know. And that goes back to where Claude was being tested to find a line about pizza. If you give Claude or other AI tons and tons and tons of historical data, weather patterns, useful models, ancient texts, and it has the ability to understand all that, and then you ask it, if you were to speculate where humanity may have existed, can you put dots on a map? And then show me the world of what it would look like back then so I could have a better understanding. And then it creates a picture for you. You could say, oh, maybe that might be worth exploring. And I know it's an unconventional use of AI, but if we're already using it to examine ancient historical documents and gleaning new knowledge out of that, then I don't see why we can't take the step further and use it for archaeological information as well. I think it's fascinating what you can do with large data and the ability to generate new content off of that data. So with that, and that positive news, I'll see you in the next episode.